Hey everybody.
Hi.
All right. So you are tuning in to Metro Inclusive Health's podcast, To Inclusivity and Beyond. I am a little bit of the host today, I guess. My name's Tommy. Our series that we're doing is called The Whole Story. And the episode that we're talking about and the subject is By the Way. We're talking about dating, experiences and identity of people who identify as bi. And yeah, we got some new things that we're talking about today. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and then we'll start our conversation.
Sweet. Hey everyone, my name is Pablo. My pronouns are he and his, and I'm a sexual health specialist here at Metro Inclusive Health.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Montero. I also work at Metro on the prevention and sexual health team, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
I forgot. My pronouns are he, him, and his as well, but you're welcome to call me whatever. And I am also on the prevention and sexual health team. But yeah, welcome everybody. So like I said, today is By the Way, and it is the first in a series of episodes in a discussion called The Whole Story. So we got The Whole Story, an idea about what that is a little while ago. Pablo, do you want to tell us where we got that idea or how we thought of that?
Yeah, so during one of our impact sessions, and for those of you who don't know, Positive Impact is a group for people living with HIV. It's a social educational group that we have here at Metro. Tommy and I were actually both facilitators for that. But in one of our sessions, we were talking about the vagina monologues and how great it is. But we kind of sat there and thought we should probably have or there should be a vagina monologues. It's a little more for people who may not have vaginas. So we figured we would come up with something called The Whole Story, because whole, it's kind of like a little double meaning there. Everyone has holes, but is also going to talk about everything in regards to sex. So whether it is just sex, sexuality, or even things outside of it, like the emotional components of sex as well. So it's just going to cover a lot. It's everything. It is the whole story, wrapped up in a nice little box for you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But today we're talking about bisexuality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, today we're talking about bisexuality. And before we even talk about it, I think it'd be good for us to kind of define it, because I know it kind of means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And for me personally, bisexuality means attraction to more than one gender. And the reason why I like that definition a lot is because it doesn't reinforce the binary. Because I think we were kind of conditioned to think about the binary whenever we were taught that definition of bisexuality. So you think, oh, you just like men and women, but that's not necessarily the case anymore. So that's me. So what do you guys think?
Did you ever feel like any hesitation in claiming that identity because of that kind of those stigmas? Because I've heard that too, that being bisexual or that identity, it reinforces the binary. So did you ever internalize that yourself?
I think a little bit, to the extent, because I know there's also the pansexual identity too, and some people are like, oh, what's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I feel like whenever I've had these conversations with people who do identify as pan, I kind of find myself a little uncomfortable about it. It is a little weird.
Well, why don't we go ahead and talk about some of the different identities, discuss the terminology, like what they can mean, because it's changing, it's constantly evolving, and then we'll get back to that idea too. But yeah, so pan. What do y'all think pan identifies as? What is the concept usually related to?
I mean, you talked about bisexuality, Pablo. Pansexuality, I would say. What I have heard is that it is an attraction to a person regardless of gender.
Yeah. It is important to sort of break it up. So bi usually means two, and sexual means sexual attraction. Pan usually means all. So pan can mean all genders, or it could mean attracted to someone regardless of their gender. That's another term that you said, Christine, that I've heard before.
I mean, can we talk about that like controversy though, as far as even like the terminology for bi? Because I mean, I think you were literal in the sense that you said, you said two gender, right? And then, so there's noise going on in my apartment.
What is it?
Feline. I apologize. We can focus on that a little later, but anyway, so like how I embrace bisexuality currently, I would say it's not even about like what gender it is or how many genders. It's really attraction to, I'm going to deal with that in a second. It's attraction to your own gender and others, like other genders, is like how I've heard of it.
That makes sense. Yeah. I can understand that.
I like that a lot, actually.
So that still keeps, I guess, terminology-wise, it still keeps the dichotomy. It's your own gender and other genders.
Sure.
There's also polysexual,
yeah,
which can have a similar meaning.
Yeah. Do you know that one, Pablo, off the top of your head?
That one's actually new to me.
So polysexual is just, I think it's just the idea that you're attracted to folks of all different sexualities. Is that right, Tommy?
Yeah, if you look things up, oftentimes you'll find different definitions.
Yeah.
A lot of times it is kind of individual. It depends on who you are, how you identify as it. But many is the term that often comes up. Many genders, attraction to many genders, like polyamory, polygamy.
All right.
There was also omni. Any thought about that?
Not really. I mean, I feel like the reason why we have this, like they say alphabet soup, like the reason why there are so many identities is because there are, how many billions of people, on this earth. So, and everyone is different. So if that means someone needs to identify how they feel, because, maybe they haven't seen that representation, then that's awesome. But honestly, you know better than me, Tommy, about omni.
Again, it's going to differ depending on where you look. But like, as far as I can tell, omnipotent or omnipresent usually means all. Yeah. So it's similar to like pansexual. All. It's kind of that like blanket term. But poly and omni are not as commonly used, I guess. People don't, like, it's not as well heard of. But yeah. And then there's the two that are a little bit more fluid, which are queer, or fluid too. Those are two terms.
I knew you were going to say that.
How'd you know?
Well, because I was going to actually mention, queer, and you read my mind. I was going to ask you, Pablo, like, do you identify, when we're talking about sexual orientation, do you personally identify as more than one identity?
In sexual orientation, yeah, I would say so.
Serious?
Yeah, because I would even say, like, when it comes down to like the way I even express myself, like in public, like I am a man, but I also express myself in a very like androgynous way. So there's so many things, there's so many things that make up who I am. So it's kind of hard to stick with just like one label or put myself in like one box.
Yeah. Okay. Just wondering, because I feel like that is like the case most times. I do too. I identify as queer predominantly, and then like, but also bisexual, like simultaneously. And so I like how there's such a variety of identities, but also you can kind of like layer them to fit like how you feel authentically.
Yeah. Yeah, authentic is a good way to put it too. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Just full disclosure, I identify as gay. I identify as homosexual. So I personally don't identify as bisexual, but I know that like there's many different ways that you can identify. Like even within that, there's still differences in the ways that I'll identify. Like, I don't know. about my sexuality, like kinky or like poly or
Oh my God.
things like that. Yeah.
Totally. Love.
Yeah. So we talked about some terminology. We threw some of that stuff out.
Yeah.
So let's go into like why do we have this conversation? What is important about it? Why should we talk about this?
I think it's important because we literally just had Bi Visibility Day on Wednesday,
Mhm.
And it's important to highlight the existence of bi people within the community, because bi erasure can be a very common and prevalent thing within the community. So I think just having this conversation just to kind of break down any kind of stigmas or to clear things up, that we don't move forward with any kind of like ideas or negative ideas, I should say.
I feel you. So like bi erasure in the sense that like maybe the like bisexual identity, bisexual folks like aren't really recognized or like don't have as much representation, you think, in the community?
I would say both, but also kind of like gaslighted in a way, if that makes any sense. So like, oh, you're kind of like, you're going straight to gay. This is just like a stopping point.
Yeah.
And even, yeah, like representation too, like in the media, if there are any bisexual characters, they tend to be labeled as like gay or not even addressed as bisexual or like recognized as such. So it just completely disregards the label altogether.
Yeah. Love. I mean, I'm just like, my mind is exploding with like so many places I want to take this conversation, because I totally feel you. And I think like the perceptions of someone who's bisexual can change, and they're very complex, I think, like depending on your gender and gender presentation. Like what you said about, I mean, I was assuming maybe you were talking about your own experience or maybe the experience of other, assigned male at birth or like masculine identifying folks, is that if you're a guy and you like a guy, you're gay. It doesn't matter if you like women too, or you're bi or queer or pan or whatever, you're gay, So I think that's super valid.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I did see a post yesterday on Instagram that kind of talked on that. So like it kind of talked about how like women can be bi, but it's kind of like an experimental phase, like it's normal for them. But when men are bi, it's kind of like, oh, like you're gay, like you're on your way, but you're gay.
And like you were saying, for women, I feel like women are more like sexualized for the male gaze.
Mm-hmm.
So if a woman, yeah, exactly right, she's experimenting, or if she's with another woman, it's a hot thing. My life acting up. But yeah, it's like purely for male consumption, or it's purely a sexual thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've experienced that, and it's like, it sounds like not the worst thing in the world, like not the worst stereotype, but it's super like demoralizing, like, and it's to have people not really take your identity and take your relationship seriously. It's not fun, obviously.
No. I think there is something to be said about, well, I don't know how to exactly talk about this, but I think it may be an experience that some people have had. Light's still acting up. It may be an experience that some people who identify as gay have, where at some point they did identify as bisexual. And so sometimes that can be a reason why people think, it's a phase. You'll just eventually go back. Or, I mean, on the other side of it, like, oh, it's a phase, you're not going to be gay. You're not going to be gay on the other side of it. But yeah, that can be sort of like seen as proof, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think people forget too that like you don't have to have sex with the person of the opposite or same gender, or like date someone of the opposite or same gender to be considered bisexual. Like I could stick to just dating women and not even touch a man for like for the rest of my life, but I would still be bisexual because that's still valid. And yeah, I think people tend to forget that a lot.
Yeah, there's a big difference between there can be a big difference between identity and behavior and even fantasy. And people have a lot of struggle understanding that or talking about that, realizing that. A lot of people, like you were saying, if you don't have sex with someone of the same gender, well, how can you be? You know, it's you're not behaving that way, so how can you identify as that? But as most people know, I mean, a lot of people have fantasies that they're never going to act on. And there's no reason why you can't identify as one thing, behave in one way, and like think about something else altogether too. Oftentimes there's overlap, oftentimes there's not. I don't know. Everybody's different.
And I think that brings in like a whole set of new terms that are just like make things more complex, because obviously, I mean, not obviously, because this is new for a lot of people, but there can be a difference in who you're attracted to sexually versus romantically, right? And so someone can be asexual but bi-romantic. And so I really like what you said about just, I don't know. I like what you said, Tommy, also about fluidity. I wanted to like just affirm the fact that people do change their identities, you know, especially in the course of the lifespan. And like, even if someone identifies as bi and then identifies as homosexual, you know, whether that's gay or lesbian or whatever, you know, it doesn't lessen that identity as bi or gay, and it doesn't mean that that's going to be everyone's experience.
Yeah. And there is more and more research as we get older, as people get more interested in this, suggesting fluidity over lifespan. Like it's important to know that people evolve, terms evolve. And like we were talking about the terms earlier, but like people should be allowed to explore, and sometimes labels don't matter quite as much unless people want them to matter for themselves, you know?
Totally. So we talked a little bit about stigma and kind of like the stereotypes of like bisexual folks, which pretty much all of the time are, you know, are not like based in truth, right? Are there any others for you that resonate, Pablo?
I actually found some the other day. So this one's actually really funny, but this one, it says that bisexual means having concurrent lovers of both sexes.
I mean, in a perfect world, if that's what you want, if that's what you're into, maybe. But no, I would say no.
Yeah, I think that also speaks to the idea that you have to have like someone that is a man, someone that's a woman, you know, to kind of validate your sexuality, but that's not the case, and that is not true. So yeah, there's that one.
So say that again. That one is suggesting that, you know, it's equal parts or half and half.
Basically equal parts, half and half, but because you are attracted to more than one gender, you have to be dating all of those genders at the same time, like concurrently.
Too much.
That sounds like fun. Don't get me wrong, I would love to, but there's only so much of me that can go around, and that just sounds exhausting. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that also plays into the stereotype that maybe, you know, bisexuals are out there playing the game, you know, they have all the...
They have to be hypersexual.
Exactly. So they are hypersexual. They are, you know, promiscuous even, you know, which isn't the case. You know, maybe as on an individual level, yeah, sure. But I mean, definitely not something that like defines bisexuality at all.
And there's another one that I found too. And this one says that bisexuals are traitors to the LGBTQ plus community because they are straight passing and don't face the same discrimination the rest of the community does. And I don't think of it as like a competition. I don't think there should be a competition of like who's had the shittier day. Because ultimately, I think we're all in this community together. And yes, there may be some people who are straight passing, but I don't know. That was just a really weird comment for me.
Well, yeah, and it's like it like implies the fact that, oh, if you're bisexual or if you're in the LGBTQ plus, spectrum, then you have something to prove, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think like there's a lot of pressure, even like, among straight, sure, there's that stigma and there's that maybe lack of exposure, lack of education, but there is so much, ugliness sometimes and like stigma and like internalized discrimination even among our, community members.
Yeah. If either of you were in a relationship with someone who was a different gender, do you feel that there is a need to do things to make to act in a certain way or talk about it in a certain way to not be to show that you are bisexual or to show that you are not straight? Do you feel that there is something that you should do, or do you feel like there's something that you do to try and identify in that community? I don't know. Yeah.
What do you think, Pablo?
I think I kind of like have like the opposite where, I am bisexual. I'm in a really great relationship with a woman right now. And like talking about this with other queer people, it can be kind of like weird. It's kind of like I'm coming out to them all over again or coming out for like a second time. Like I kind of have to make them believe like I am bi because of the way I do carry myself in public. So sometimes I like to wear heels and glitter and all this stuff, and other days I don't like to. So it's an interesting experience for me.
Yeah, sometimes you like to wear a sheer dress,
or even a sheer podcast for those of you watching. No, I feel like there is like an immense pressure to kind of like live up to that. Like, yeah, there is a pressure there.
Is there?
Sorry, just Pablo, like just what you were talking about, honestly, like I don't know if like I'm getting like tension in my body because I feel that pressure. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, sometimes I don't look queer, and it just makes me feel like, do I need to step it up,
Yeah.
And I know I don't have to feel that way, but it's like.
It's always there. Yeah, it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So do you say you maybe at times have like shown up or like tried to go harder just to show that to people, or you just do what you can?
I mean, I feel like I'm just like authentic to myself. It just looks in different ways, and I don't know. I think that I don't know. I think also like generally speaking, sometimes I'm very just low maintenance with how I look. And so I feel like I don't really send much of a message at all, much less my, sexual orientation. No matter what, I'm queer, like no matter what I'm wearing, no matter how I look. And I feel the pressure, but I don't know. I have to just be myself,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You kind of like shared your perspective, Pablo, because you are partnered, you're in a relationship. I'm not, but I mean, I feel like generally speaking, no matter what gender I am dating, I'll say partner, I don't really go for like boyfriend or girlfriend much.
Yeah, it just feels weird. Like it doesn't feel right rolling off the tongue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and
I'm very.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm very lucky that like with the person that I'm with right now, like they're very accepting and open, and they also use the term like partner as well. So it's it's great.
Good. Yeah, and I mean, I actually like I'm really I mean, I guess that has to do with my like queerness, but I'm like attracted to men obviously, but I'm also very much more
Unfortunately, yeah.
so unfortunately, yeah. But like I try to mitigate that by trying to be with like, you know, guys that maybe like go against that binary, go against societal expectation,
Mm.
you know, and just I'm into bi guys. I wish it was more acceptable for guys to come out as bi, you know. But I mean, I think also like a lot of how we talk about our relationships and stuff. It also relates to what you were talking about, Tommy, in terms of just being queer, like in a kinky way, in like a poly way, if that's how you swing. So I don't know. I feel like all my relationships are probably queer in one way, even if they're like hetero on the surface.
Or passing, or straight passing, yeah.
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 So I wanted to mention a couple experiences that I've encountered, I guess, and like kind of break them down, see what we think about them. So y'all probably heard these stories before. Not this story specifically, but a version of it, you know. In college, talking to some girls, and sort of trying to reference a straight guy that I had a crush on. Talking about, like, what would you do if he dated guys? Really like talking about that straight guy. What would you do if he had an experience with a guy? And they were like, no, I would never be interested in someone who is a guy who has been with other guys, even if he's, I don't know, straight or identifies as straight. How do y'all like? What have y'all experienced that before? Have y'all seen that?
No, I actually have a friend that will not get with the guy who has been penetrated by another guy. And like she literally said it that way. She's like, I will never sleep with a man who has been penetrated. And I'm just like, like I wonder what
penetrated.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I guess like if he had anal sex and like is the bottom, and I was like, oh, so you don't like bottoms? Why? Let's unpack that.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Did you get clarification? Was she like that specific about? Was that person specific about that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Only because I was kind of like, I'm not gonna go down this road. It was also like a couple of years ago, so I wasn't as like aware as I am now. But yeah, it was so kind of just like, oh well, that's a weird take, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that is so common. Like, I mean, it relates to what we were saying earlier that, you know, it doesn't matter if a guy likes women, if he's been with a man, he's like undesirable or he's like
tainted.
Tainted. Yeah. And, you know, I feel like that, I mean, I think that hits at the core of like homophobia, you know? I mean, because I see this a lot with the youth that I work with. And it's just like, it's like wild how ingrained stuff like that is, like with people growing up.
And it can be okay to think that people think that it's okay to think that.
Yeah.
It's so strange because it's like, why are you going to get mad at a guy for like being penetrated? But like, aren't you getting penetrated by like, make it make sense? But
yeah.
Wild. That's so specific though. I can't believe that it was that specific.
Yeah.
Your experience. Okay. Another experience that I've encountered.
Yeah.
Which we had mentioned before. Y'all might have had different versions of the same thing, but and we know it's related to like fear on the inside. Like I'm not saying that this is necessarily okay or I don't just a disclaimer.
Okay. Yeah.
But we had discussed it before. In sometimes when there is someone who identifies as gay in a relationship with a same-sex partner. and the same-sex partner identifies as bi or poly or whatever they identify. It can be a fear of the gay partner that the bi partner will leave them for a straight person, will leave them to be in a straight relationship. It can be a fear. I've had an encounter where friends of mine, it was like a partner, so they were partners, and it was just an experience that this person had. She had been left for a man by her female partner. And so it was kind of a fear that was ingrained into her. So yeah, what do y'all think of that? How do we want to break that down?
I'm sorry, I was just looking for another term because I think, do you all know the term? It's like a term for basically homo and straight. It's, but not bi. I think it's probably like unisexual or something like that.
Heteroflexible or
no.
Oh, either or, but not both.
Exactly. It's like you're gay or lesbian or you're straight, but you're not bi or pan or omni. I will look this up, but I know this term exists.
Wild. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess like that's the fear. Like the fear if you're gay, if you're like in the gay community and you're dating someone who's bi, that person is going to go straight, right? Mm-hmm. Or vice versa. I mean, I think that's like a really common experience. I mean, I think I mentioned to you all before that I think it's really, it's for sure valid in relationship dynamics, but I think it is rooted in that idea that like, that bisexual folks can't be in committed relationships, and again, it's not even about what gender they're into. It's about, their ability really, and your ability to trust them, that they can be with you, be committed, and not, just go straight because that's, they have the capacity to,
Yeah, it's rooted in a trust issue. It's rooted in possibly a biphobia issue.
Yeah.
So it could be different ways.
I like that though. I mean, that's how these things show up, and like they show up in really real ways. So I like that we're like covering these relationship dynamics.
Pablo, any thoughts?
I think that's also like a common belief with like the straight community too. Because there was one point where my partner told her coworkers about my sexuality, and then not in like a really weird way either. Like she was just telling them. And she's like, "Oh yeah, Pablo's bi," and they were kind of like, "Wait, he's bi? So like, aren't you like scared that he's gonna go and like find someone? Like, oh my god, what if like guys hit on him?" And, like they have all these questions about it. But it's kind of weird because like we don't think about like straight people and be like, okay, well, what about let's say you have a boyfriend? Like, what about other guys hitting on you? Like, you don't see us like worrying about all that either.
Because we know straight people are so faithful, right?
Right? Yeah. Only bisexuals cheat, I guess. So.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Good point.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other terms that y'all have thought of? Do you want to like maybe play a little game with that?
We could. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Yes, you go first. So what are we gonna do? Like we're gonna.
So this is called Yum of the Day. This is a new segment of our brand new series that we're calling Yum of the Day. There are terms that we're going to introduce to each other, and the rest of us have to guess what the term is. We may be knowledgeable about it. We may not. Just kind of like wait for a minute and let the other person try to guess if you know it. And if y'all on Facebook or YouTube, whatever, you can type underneath and guess what it is. Yeah.
Get us in the comments.
Yeah. So Pablo, you're going first?
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that you guys didn't take my word before I did. So this word is, or this phrase, I guess, is Bi after 3.
I think I might have the same kind of term.
Does it mean bi after 3 a.m.?
It could. I like that one. Yeah, it could. I like that one.
So this is good. It's new.
Yeah.
Is it like
bi after 3 beers or drinks?
Yeah, it is. So it's supposed to be gay after 3, but I made it to bi after 3.
Oh.
It insinuates that bisexuals are only like gay or bi after 3 drinks.
Yeah.
That kind of like further fuels the idea that it's not a valid sexuality because they need alcohol to do it.
Yeah. So
well, it is also a common experience for a lot of people to need alcohol to partake in whatever sexual behavior they want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That reminded me, this actually isn't a term I like thought of officially for our game, but you reminded me of like gay for pay. I've been rewatching Orange is the New Black, which is, about women in prison. And it's just like it's really striking to me because some of them are straight, but they just like they want that intimacy. They want that closeness with someone. Which I feel like is super valid, especially now in pandemic times.
Yeah. But I wonder why it wasn't started as like bi for pay.
Oh no, gay for pay obviously is like gay for money. I meant to be gay for stay.
Gay for stay. Okay.
That's the prison thing.
Okay.
Sorry if I confused you.
But that was like a separate thought that I just had was like, why didn't it start as bi for pay? I guess because like what?
Because it wasn't bi porn that they would like, or like bi things they would do. Usually gay for pay is like for gay porn.
Got
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
And apparently that also
there's no such thing as bi. Hello. Obviously, if they're gay, they're gay. Just kidding, obviously. Okay, so we got that one.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Bi after 3?
Yeah, bi after 3 or gay after 3. So that bisexuals are only bi after 3 drinks.
Okay. Love. You go, Tommy.
All right. I've got a couple, so we can come back around if we want to. It's up to y'all. This one, which you may be able to guess, you may have not heard it, but be able to like kind of figure it out. Bedroom bisexual.
Maybe like on the DL?
Or
in the bedroom?
Or is it like someone's third, maybe? Like they're only bisexual, like behind closed doors with another person's relationship? I don't know.
Yeah. Any other guesses before I say it?
No, I have no idea. What is
it?
That's
it.
So there were 2 slightly different things that I got. I know I was just like searching this on Urban Dictionary. So again, I don't know how like 100% accurate it's going to be, but like the idea, the general concept that it gave to me was like you're sexually attracted to both genders, all genders, but romantically, you're only attracted to people of a different gender. Or a separate idea was you would only marry someone of a different gender. So you're only interested in a straight marriage, I guess, or straight seeming marriage, but maybe in the bedroom you'll do something.
For intimacy. Okay.
Okay. I got that.
Yeah. So again, it highlights like marriage or like the difference between behavior versus fantasy. So like, you might fantasize about that. So there was different ones. Some suggested that it was like only in fantasy would you do that. You'd think that like, oh, I think this person of the same gender is hot, but I would never act on that. So there were 2 different ideas about it.
Okay. I mean, this is kind of a whole nother tangent, but you just made me think of also like the fact that yes, your fantasies don't have to reflect your behaviors, because like I can think of like so many women, and I know someone has studied this, but a lot of women like watching lesbian sex because it's just it's porn that is made for women, so like maybe it's hotter to them versus maybe straight porn, is very like male centric,
dominated and aggressive.
not hot most of the time. But yeah, I like that like fluidity potential there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go and then we can go back around. I mean, I have a really easy one, but we're like talking to our audience too, so maybe it's something new for them. Okay, unicorn.
Oh, is that the third that's in the, like the third person or like the bi person is like invited into the bedroom with like a couple. Okay.
Do you have another thought, Tommy?
I know I've heard it. I feel like I've heard the definition, but I don't know. I can't like guess it. Yeah.
I mean, so it's basically just like a unicorn is just someone that, I mean, I guess it could be a lesbian. Oftentimes it's someone who's bi, but it's basically straight couples go looking for unicorns a lot on like social media, basically looking for a third, which is fun, which is sexy, like more power to them. But I do know there's a lot of like frustration then for, women who like women, because a lot of times it's like the guy in the relationship, like hijacking that profile. So if you just want to look for like a woman or like a man and not a couple to be some object, sexually, it's just, it can be kind of a turn off sometimes.
Yeah. But, if that's something that you want to be, if that's what you got to do, you do it.
I mean, yeah, there's a time and a place to be a unicorn for sure.
It's on my bucket list.
Go get it. Guys, gals, thems, and theys, NBs. Go like achieve your dreams. Your sexual dreams. Pablo, do you have another one?
I'm gonna pass it over to Tommy because
Okay.
I have another one.
Okay. I have a couple, but I'm just gonna go with one more. I'll just do one more. Y'all might know it again. So this one is a sexual behavior. So I might get a little explicit, just a warning. Nothing too crazy, but it's called queening.
Queening?
Queening.
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 It seems like something I really want to know about.
Yeah.
Or maybe I know about it and I don't know of that term.
I'll let you know if you can ask me. Let me know if you need a hint.
Is it like crowning?
like when a baby comes out?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want it to be like
No, it's not related to that. It's a sexual thing. It's a sex behavior. Yeah.
And okay, it's a behavior. Is what gender can do this behavior? Can anyone do it?
It specifically references a woman.
Okay.
That does this. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sit on someone's face with like a glass of wine. I don't.
Is it that?
Yeah. So it's specifically references a woman sitting on or straddling the face of her partner.
Okay.
Congratulations, Pablo. Good work.
Yay. Okay. What do I win?
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm gonna give you a high five from afar.
Yes.
That's what you win.
Okay. I think I have one more. So it's not a behavior and it's not an identity that means bisexual literally, but I feel like it's kind of a related term. And you both might know it. So switch. Yeah. What do you think, Pablo?
So isn't switch like that's in regards to like dom and like subculture?
Mm-hmm.
So someone who is okay with being a dominant person in bed, but also submissive, like, like either or.
Love. Yes, yes. Do you have a different take on it, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit more broad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's not always necessarily like dom and sub. It could be different types of kinks that use that term too. So, like, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
No, I actually had a conversation about this with a friend last Friday, because they were like, is that the same thing as like topping and bottoming? And I was like, no, like topping and bottoming is more of like, who is receiving, who is giving,
Yeah.
whereas like switch is more of like dom sub play. It's not top and bottom. It's not the same thing.
Because if we're talking about top and bottom, that would be verse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so verse is to top and bottom what switch is to dom sub.
Totally. Yeah. So switch is, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean you're a dom and you're a sub like in the same sexual encounter. It could be,
Should we back it up and explain what some of these things might mean? Yeah.
Can we just have an entirely like additional podcast to talk about this stuff also?
Yeah,
we can do like basics really quick. So dom is dominant. So this is like in the fetish community and kink community. There's a lot of there can be a lot of power play, right? That could be a part of the fetish, and so someone who's dominant would have that power, and maybe they'll kind of manifest it in different ways, or it might play out in different ways, whether it's physical domination or mental, psychological domination, or bondage, but they're dominant, and then sub is the submissive. And like you said, that can look, it could be a puppy, right? Or it could be like a little boy if we're talking about age play, or a lot of stuff out there. Love it. But yeah, switch is something I like because it's kind of like you can play around with the doms and the subs and have it all.
Best of both.
But yeah, I definitely thought it was related. Like it was kind of the same orientation, but in a different like world,
Yeah. All right.
And I just found two, like I won't make you guess, but I'll mention two random like terms that I had heard of for bi that I never had heard. So it's switch hitter. So apparently that's a baseball term, which I don't know anything about baseball, but switch hitter, maybe that means you like play for both teams. I don't know.
What are those?
Not my forte. Let's move on. And then I discovered HBB, hot bi babe.
Ah.
So that's
Just put my hand up for that one.
Nummy.
Hi, cool. That was fun, and you all stumped me. I thought I would know, but you got me. we all learned today.
Cool. Well, yeah. Okay, so that was Yum of the Day, and I think that's, I guess, I don't know. For me, that's about it. Any of y'all got any last minute ideas you need to get out there?
Not really. I think this was really good. Are we going to have another? There's going to be another whole story, right?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Cool.
I don't necessarily have if I have a title of the next one, but next month is October. It is LGBTQ plus everything, all the queer identities in there. History Month. So next month, for our groups and for this, we are going to be like talking about LGBTQ history, whether that be role models or events in LGBTQ history, and hopefully we can highlight some local history. So we're in Tampa Bay area, and hope you can join in next month for that, probably around the end of the month as well. But yeah.
I love that. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, so it was Wednesday, it was Bi Awareness Day, and actually this whole week is Bi Awareness Week. So go out, be your beautiful bi plus selves.
Celebrate bisexuality.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do.
Be yourself. And thank you.
Thank you. If you want to help us keep this programming going, please donate to our Keep It Virtual program. You can text Metro, text GIVE number by texting Metro to 44321. Also, make sure to stay updated on COVID stuff through the CDC website, and always be safe. And Pablo, how can we hear more from you?
Like we hear more from me.
Yeah, how can we hear more from you?
Oh, yeah. So you can actually talk to us at, when I say us, I mean me and Tommy, at our City Mix and our impact groups. So City Mix is something that we do here at Metro every second and fourth Wednesday and Thursday of the month. And it is basically a group where we talk about sexual health and stuff like this too. We literally talked about bisexuality all week. So if you ever wanted to see us, you could easily reach out to us or email us at prevention@metrotampabay.org, and we can send you links to Zoom. And then I also want to turn it over to Christine, because Christine also has some things that she works on as well.
Yeah. Hey, I work with youth. So if you are 13 to 24, or you work with youth who are 13 to 24, we would love to have conversations about how we can keep it safe, keep it sexy, but practice good sexual health, sexual behaviors. So reach out to me. You can just email psh@metrotampabay.org. But we have a lot of cool programs for this age range. 60-minute program. We have one program that's a couple weeks long where you can earn really cool gift cards, up to $85 in gift cards. So hit us up. We would love to chat with you about getting involved and helping y'all, serving y'all with whatever you need.
All right.
In a socially distant way.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining, and I hope everyone has a good week, has a good month, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye,
Love
y'all.
you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Mwah.